Here at our sea-washed sunset gates shall stand a mighty woman with a torch, whose flame is the imprisoned lightning, and her name, Mother of Exiles. From her beacon hand glows worldwide welcome. Her mild eyes command the air-bridged harbor that twin cities frame. "Keep, ancient lands, your storied pomp," cries she with silent lips. "Give me your tired, your poor, your huddled masses yearning to breathe free, the wretched refuse of your teeming shore. Send these, the homeless, tempest-tossed to me. I lift my lamp beside the golden door."
The golden door was already closing when Emma Lazarus wrote that inspiring poem in 1883. 40 years later, my father, Gregorio Adan, was just barely able to slip through a crack and start an all-American family. Emma Lazarus had personal and humanitarian connections with the huddled masses yearning to be free. Her ancestors were Sephardic Jews who emigrated from Brazil to New Amsterdam, which we today call New York. They were fleeing the Inquisition. Lazarus was also active in helping Jews escape from the Russian pogroms, bloody anti-Semitic riots that swept through Imperial Russia in the late 19th century. But religious and ethnic bigotry was pushing the golden door shut. Politicians, clergy, and ordinary rabble-rousers argued that the United States should keep out so-called inferior races, human beings that they deemed unsuitable for the land of the free and the home of the brave. The Great Irish Potato Famine in the mid-1800s ignited the first wave of this ethnic hatred. Over 1 million Irish people died during that famine. Another 2 million fled the country. Many of them came to the United States of America. These new Irish immigrants were largely Roman Catholic by faith. White Protestant bigots attacked Roman Catholicism as a faith and lobbied to prevent the immigration of Irish people. And in 1882, only 1 year before Lazarus wrote her idealistic poem, the United States enacted the Chinese Exclusion Act, the first openly racist federal immigration legislation. For the Chinese, the golden door was shut. But more was to come. The Russian Revolution and the First World War profoundly unsettled many Americans who thought that the old world and much of its population were corrupt, decadent, and racially inferior. Americans who opposed the entry of certain peoples into the United States, but who did not want to appear overly racist, hit upon a new scheme. It was called the quota system. The Immigration Act of 1924 assigned a quota to other countries, a specific number of visas available to people of that country who wanted to come to the United States. These quotas were based upon the relative number of people originally from those other countries counted in an earlier United States census. Because most people counted in that census were from Northern European countries, Northern European white folks got the largest quotas. The disfavored countries of Eastern and Southern Europe got much smaller quotas. One important exception was made. Because of the labor needs of the then emerging industrial agriculture, Mexico was exempted from the quota system. Mexicans had to pay entry fees and suffer the indignities of bodily fumigation. but entry into the United States by Mexicans from Mexico was comparatively easy. This series of legal events would directly affect my father after he migrated to Mexico from the Canary Islands of Spain. The first documented evidence we have of Gregorio Adan in the West puts him in Saltillo, Mexico in 1919. There, he somehow came under the wing of A.W. Liliendahl, an American industrialist from Lakewood, New Jersey. The Liliendahl family were invested in a number of industrial enterprises in Mexico, including railroads. They were also active Presbyterian missionaries. The Presbyterians were part of a larger Protestant movement that mushroomed in Mexico after its revolution and subsequent suppression of the Catholic Church. A.W. Liliendahl was recognized as a man who spotted young talent and encouraged its growth. In 1921, Liliendahl encouraged Gregorio Adan to enroll in the Peacock Military Academy in San Antonio, Texas. Liliendahl must have underwritten the school's fees. In January 1921, the young man attempted to cross the border at Laredo, Texas. In that case, he told the truth. His name was Gregorio Adan, and he was born in Garachico, Spain. But the bureaucrats guarding the Golden Door ruled that Gregorio was too young. He was denied entry, and he lost an appeal. Young Gregorio spent the next several years working as a clerk in Uline's, a large pharmaceutical house in Mexico City. In February 1924, Gregorio tried again to enter the United States by way of El Paso, Texas. But by then, the quota system was in effect. There were only 130 visas available to Spaniards throughout the entire world. Young Gregorio was not going to win one of those precious quota visas. So, he declared himself to be a Mexican, for whom there were no quotas and entry was relatively easy. Instead of being born in Garachico, Canary Islands, Spain, he was magically reborn in Villahermosa, Mexico. The lie worked. He was in. He said that he was headed for Los Angeles to work as a laborer. However, on the rail car into El Paso, he met another immigrant who told him that the United States Army was looking for musicians for its military bands. Gregorio was a musician, a veteran of Garachico's boy band. He could enlist if he were 18. The problem was that he was only 17. So he adjusted his birth date and became a year older than he actually was. A few days later, Gregorio Adan Diaz enlisted in the Horse Cavalry at Fort Bliss, Texas. It was the beginning of his 30 years of military service. It was also the beginning of a lie, something he had to hide from even his own family for the rest of his life. But that extraordinary life was only just beginning. Join us for more of his adventures in the next episode of Fire and Ice, the story of an all-American family.